Hello everybody. Today I want to describe you um, two paths to follow. You can choose with it whichever you resonate most with. One is about high energy and one is about slow energy. The main rule of the following practice is that having a present form in its life, or actually present form, isn't so odd at all. I'm going to give you some specific information as to how to live your true desires. If you start living by this, you'll become good at fulfilling your actual desires, and it's often very much different from what you actually expect them to be. So, realizing your actual desires is very possible and often in a much different form realized than what you initially expect. So, you want to stay aligned um, with fulfilling your desires, but also having the open mindedness of realizing them differently and in human, like humane perception and acceptance. So I will offer you two paths to follow. You can choose whichever you resonate most with. One is the high energy path, with heavier split second decisions and highly energetic states that can be perceived as violent but are recognized as life changing for the ones that choose to live by them. The other one is the slow energy path, with relaxed states and ensuring feelings that may be recognized as if you're laying someplace very comfortable. But also, uh, yeah, the slow energy path is also very possible to have in a more applicable way and more awake way of living. But I mainly choose the high energy path with awakening energies during the day. And I do try to tune to the slow energy path while I'm asleep or in the mornings when I'm very relaxed with slower emotions. I will try to describe methods that work for both paths separately. I want this to really resonate with all of you as you see fit, so you can derive your own methods from my explanation. We'll start with the higher energy path with awakening energies, as this is my main strategy during the day. Okay, let me say this. As long as you get in tune with fulfilling your desires, you keep doing so at the highest energy state possible. But there are a lot of tricks to make this more spiritual and potent as well. So I suggest, even if you're pretty good at realizing your desires aligned with who you are, if you want to become more spiritual, please keep watching, keep listening, because I have a lot of tips you can work with as well. Okay, first you want to align with your freedom and power. This is most important, I feel like. This is to make sure you can apply yourself at a daily basis, and this primarily applies to the high energetic path, because the slow energetic path is less of a applicational method and is more of a recognitional method. But um, yeah, you want to apply. You want to align with your freedom and power. This may sound like quite the first step, but as long as you can pursue your desire with great energy and intent, you're set. I want you to immediately take a step back if you don't feel like this resonates with you. So you have to go do what you want first to align yourself with applying yourself fully. So before we go any further, let me promise you this. Very special things are possible, though it may seem tricky if this has been shown to you a long time ago, or if you haven't seen anything like this at all. But I have some specifics, and I have some specifics in this document here, and I also have some evidence on my YouTube channel with the videos that I make, which you can watch to reassure you of the things that are possible. I actually have a lot of examples I want to talk to you about, but I'll give you some examples in this video here. that help you work your way with your own methods. It's basically to reassure you that you can take the following steps towards your own realization. So back to realigning with your freedom and power. Best method that I've found so far is to realize that you're an absolute form of presence. Find a good position for yourself to truly express yourself how you want to. Some people like to talk a lot, some like to sit quietly, meditate, some like to express a lot through moving themselves or others around while applying in certain ways. Others like to just be emotionally or psychically very active. I want you to remember the state in which you can substitute for the other things you are afraid of missing in your life. A truly fulfilling state. So I want you to take this as it comes and not think about it too much. So remember the state in which you can substitute for the other things you are afraid of missing in your life. That's often one that refers to the childhood for most people, because it's hard to let things go nowadays as a adult, where you have to be responsible and get things done basically. So you want to, with this, you want to realign yourself with the freedom and power. You basically want the freedom of when you were a child and the power of when you were an adult. But also, I want you to develop both these aspects in a spiritual manner to basically gain the highest results possible, the greatest results possible of aligning with your own desires. If you never had any trouble with this at all, I'd like you to reach out to me and basically give your opinion and your experiences. I'd love for you to share your experiences and maybe link your videos in the comment section if you have any video content on it. I like to film my experiences as well with telekinesis and digital manipulation, and even I like to film my interactions with other humans, but I usually don't do that because I don't find it very accessible, like putting a camera towards someone. But if you have any experiences like these, I'd love to know about them, and please let me know. Okay, so I'll be back to describing my way to go about the high energy path, the high energy states. I like to experience emotionally and physically a lot. I also like vivid imaging and clear representative manifestations of my goals. These are the things I like to experience a lot in high energy states as well. So I like to be emotionally attached first to my goals, and then have more physical representations play and go on, and kind of interact with those. A high priority rule that works for both paths is this one: you can be free in what you do as long as it works. It's a basic rule, but if you apply this simple method with the fact that you can recognize yourself as an absolute being, then you basically find the freedom to access the most beautiful and intrinsic states that you can experience, and it works for both paths really well, the high energy path and the slow energy path. So you can really express yourself as you are and have more representative evidence in your life of who you are and what you want to express, and the things which you like to show up will show up. To describe the slow energy path a bit, it's not entirely different from the high energy path, but you want to be in recognition more than be put in active states. You know your opportunities will come, and you choose to be with the ones you feel comfortable with. So you like to be actively engaged with the visions and the thoughts and the emotions and the psychically active objects which you want to have near yourself more than so working with external and things at range. You want to work more with what you want to have near yourself, the ones you feel comfortable with and which you like to keep close. And there is not necessarily much more leeway than with the high energy states, but maybe the inclination is for it to have more leeway, but you can choose whichever you want basically. But you work with more closely oriented thoughts and emotions and psychic objects. Another rule that works for both paths is to work with ranges of resolution, meaning keep yourself in a position that facilitates the fulfillment of your desire. Know that you can fulfill your desires with your characteristic attributes in big realization. Also know that things can show themselves in full realization as quickly as you can think about them. This is literally true. I've literally shown this with digital manipulation. As I look at my phone, I can make sure it moves the imagery, and it may not be fully controlled, but I know I can directly apply myself to it. I just have to get myself in some states, which I will talk to you later about how I do that. To give you a quick example of how I learned to associate with the slow energy path, you may feel like you have to add on to your method of application. Bluntly put, you may feel like you're not doing enough or applying yourself lazily. This is only as true as the rule. You can be free in what you do as long as it works, and I guarantee you that things can show themselves in full realization as quickly as you can think about them, like I just described. Even more specifically, you can be in direct control through just being yourself and changing your own state, watching your change as it happens before you. This is literally true, but you have to get practice with it a little bit, and you have to be convinced of the fact that it can actually work for you. Because if you're not convinced it works for you, there's another step of having yourself to come to the realization of that your own application works. So these distant methods, I'd like to call them, like my methods are a little bit distant because I don't like to interact directly with people a lot. I like to kind of prepare myself emotionally and psychically and physically as well, and I do so with meditation, and I like my meditation to go to the higher energy states, and then when I'm in the higher energy states I like to put myself forward to actual interactions with humans and other stuff. Okay, so now I'm asking of you to be creative. I'll try to describe a bit more through the methods which I like best. I'm a big fan of aligning emotionally with the things that I desire first and foremost, and applying myself heavily through this emotional alignment. Then I like to play with the manifested reality which happens to me. So that's what I just tried to say as well. Yeah, I like to work with entities too. So whether I work with thought entities or actual extraterrestrial entities, I have had some experience which would incline to believe that there are extraterrestrial entities which I can interact with. But really, realistically, interacting with thought entities is a common thing. Like, to make thoughts more interesting and more engaging, you can make them into entities and objects that really resonate with you. So be creative with that and create your own methods of interaction with the outside world. and give the power to those entities which you would like to see represented in life. So I'm asking you to be really creative with that. And for both paths, the high energy path and the slow energy path, you can most likely already imagine how you want to fulfill those. But I want to go a little bit more in depth. Like, I'd like to reference the rule which describes ranges of resolution. This means staying with resolutions that include your desires fulfilled or unfulfilled. Then to add the next step, express your own complexity and full-blown characteristic presence. So like I tried to describe with thought entities, you can also apply your own energies and complexity and characteristics directly. And this can lead to very special events, like I already tried to say. Here's some actual specifics. Like, I rarely hear people speaking up about specifics, but I like to say that it leads to warping over to the right people, or having people stop in place to share a special moment with you. It can just be a look, but it can actually lead to people stopping in place due to the feeling that both people get, that are so strongly interconnected that it literally stops people in place to look at you and to have you look at them. It can be very special moments. And I also have videos of telekinesis and digital manipulation. These things are all possible. I even have some examples of creation, which I cannot talk about right now, but I mean, I could talk about them right now, but I'd like to get some more examples to get some proof on it more, to where I can either film them or talk about them really well. But there are also means of creation, actual creation or manifestation. Okay. It may take some practice to get things going, but if you want to accelerate, then choose the high energy path and take some risk from a safe position. Like I said, what worked for me really well is to work with emotions and really apply yourself in those emotional states and get complexity going, and then the rest of the things will fill in. Like, if you apply yourself more in the emotional state, you will just witness more in the physical states, so you can do more from your own home and then experience more when you're going out, for example. um yeah, in a way it helps to be very grateful. So um yeah, I don't want people to get very humble, but because I don't think that's necessary. You can be, of course, if you want to, but I wanted to say that in a way it helps you to be just as affirmed by a truck passing by with appropriate writing on the side of it, which I just experienced, as by the interaction with another human being, the witnessing of something extraterrestrial, something really mysterious, or for example the exchange of money, which more people will relate to in the regular world. So in a way, the high energy and slow energy paths can merge if you live your true intentions and desires, but as we know, life can have a very different meaning, and I like to separate them dualistically with high energy and slow energy ways of thinking. That's it for now, guys. I firstly like to ask you to apply your own interpretation of these paths, and then in the following video I'll most likely come up with some more methods of applying yourself in both ways described. Thanks a lot for watching, and have fun with it. Don't be afraid to experience some stress while keeping oversight through your own alignment with absolute presence. That's most important to realize. Always be able to go back to your absolute presence and find your energetic states of application from there. Okay, guys, I will definitely be practicing this a lot, and I will be developing my methods for the next video in which I can describe more to you. Like I already mentioned though, thanks a lot for watching again, and I'll see you next time.